Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Real Living in Bridgeport. For those of you who are tuning into today's episode for the first time, my name is Bill. I am your local mortgage broker. And with me today is my co-host, Warren Wu. Let's welcome him into the studio as well. Hello, Warren.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
I'm good. As I was teasing you, what a lovely home that you are in. By the way, this lovely home can be yours for sale to buy with the help of Warren. No, I'm just teasing you. It's a lovely home that I've seen a few times. It's a lovely virtual background. For those of you who are watching who may be piano musicians, as I was teasing Warren, I said, you know what? A baby grand piano in a home always makes it so appealing to sell and buy. Right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. By that, I mean this, though. You got to play it well. Because if you don't play the piano well, let's just call it like it is. It's too much noise in the household.
Well, I mean, you have to start somewhere.
That's true. That's why you have to learn from a great teacher, and of course, anything that you do in life that you want to be better at, you want to perfect, you have to practice. By the way, Warren, on a serious note, do you play a musical instrument?
No, I do not.
You do not? Okay. Well, let me share with you the musical instrument I used to know how to play very well. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, I used to play the drums. Well, here's the hard part. Yes, it's loud. It's a lot of noise, unlike a baby grand piano. So for those of you who are parents in your household where your child is learning how to play the drums, I get it. You're like, stop that racket. It's a lot of noise. But you know what? Your child learning how to play drums, they may be the up and coming rising drummer for a rock band and make lots of money. You never know. You got to feed that passion, right?
And musicians do make a good amount of money nowadays.
They do. Look at Taylor Swift. Come on. Are your kids? I think you have a daughter, right?
Yes, I have a 6-year-old daughter.
Okay. Is she a Swiftie?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Good for you. You might wanna hold on to that, because once she becomes a Swiftie, she's gonna pull on your coat and shoulders and say, "Dad, I want to go to the Eras concert," or whatever the next one is. That's gonna cost you a lot of money.
Right.
Right?
Not looking forward to it.
Not looking forward to that yet. All right, Warren, let's get serious and talk about real estate, real living in Bridgeport. Since our last episode just 2 weeks ago, has the needle moved or changed any with supply and demand?
The needle has not changed at all. So supply and demand is literally at a standstill.
Okay.
There's still plenty of buyers trying to get into the market, but no one's really selling. So there's a lack of supply, just like last time we met. And then I think it isn't helping with the interest rates staying at 7%, because a lot of people locked in at like around 3-4% a few years back. Now, unless they really move out of state or they really need a bigger home or moving to the suburbs or somewhere else, I don't think there's too much motivation to sell at the moment.
I hear you. I can understand that. And by the way, for all of you watching, if you happen to be a buyer, interest rates are not stuck at 7%. Full disclosure, you can certainly get financing for what you need below 7%. It just depends on the terms that you're willing to close with. And so if you are actively in the market working with Warren or someone else, if Warren happens to be the seller's broker, so therefore you're kind of indirectly working with him, and you have not chosen a local mortgage broker, lender to deliver financing for you, toward the end of our live stream today, you can certainly scan a QR code. I'd be glad to talk to you and share with you what is available as far as financing your next real estate transaction. So I get that. I think, I hear that right now. Supply is still tight. Demand, however, is slightly more than supply. So one thing I know from my economics studies is that means prices isn't going down.
Right. It's not going down like people hope it would have when the rates are high.
That's right. That's right. So to that point, let's shift the conversation to buyers now. Sorry, to sellers. My bad. To sellers now. If you are thinking about selling, it's a great time to sell, because most likely when your property is getting listed, getting marketed by someone like Warren, by Warren Wu himself. And by the way, if you happen to have a baby grand piano, that property of yours is probably going to get multiple looks and maybe multiple offers. But here's the twist. You've got to price it right. Correct, Warren?
Correct. I agree.
Yeah. If you don't price it right, you'll get a lot of looks, but they won't come back for the second look, third look, which also ultimately means an offer that you can consider, right? People would just kind of look and say, I'll wait until later. I'll come back. Sometimes they don't come back. So let's now move the conversation today to a part of our world, Warren, your world, my world, where I think it's safe for me to say this. The process of what we do is always about the same, right?
Yes.
However, from one client to another, the process will be different, which then means it will be either an easy transaction, or it will be the transaction from hell. Right?
Yes,
so
correct.
Now that we set that expectation, set that reality with all of you who are watching this as a live stream or as an on-demand recording, Warren, why don't you lead off? Without naming names, without going into details, privacy issues, what was the most easy transaction for you? Can you share some elements to that?
Yes. So the easiest is probably a cash deal on a single family home. Inspection, no problem during the inspection.
Okay.
And then we just close literally in 2 weeks.
Bingo. Yes. Cash is king. Cash moves fast. Now, I got to ask you, as soon as you were made aware it's going to be a cash transaction, were you representing the seller or the buyer? Which side?
I was representing the buyer.
The buyer. Okay. So you obviously had to coach the buyer on, hey, Mr. Buyer, because you're doing cash, we gotta share and show proof of funds, right? So that was at least the one immediate step you had to deal with, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Yep. I'm fully on board with you. Cash is king. Cash moves fast. Now let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. Can you share big picture, no details, don't drop names, one of your harder transactions, and perhaps why?
Well, it would be the hardest deal would probably be a short sale deal that I had to do a while back.
Okay.
Because short sale, there's no guarantee, like after inspections, or not even inspections, but like there were so many problems with like the water line, and then we had to wait for the bank to get everything like fixed,
Right.
and then they had to wait for the city because the water main broke.
Oh my gosh.
So and then the loan officer was waiting forever. So yeah, that was probably the hardest one because we had to wait around half a year for the
Wow. Wow. But I'll be honest with you. Yeah, short sales, it's unpredictable. They never go as fast as the buyer of the short sale wants, and also the seller in that respect. Did you represent seller or buyer? You represented buyer, it sounds like, right?
Yes, I represented the buyer. So there was nonstop dealing with multiple parties back and forth.
Yep. I remember those days when short sales were certainly more common than they are now. Okay, all right. Thanks for sharing your two extreme stories. Easy transaction, hard transaction. Can I share with you my perspective to the same thing?
Right.
All right. So, Warren, I'll share with you an easy transaction. Certainly, my story is not going to be a cash purchase or a cash transaction. Why? Because, well, if cash is on the table, there's no need for a lender, right?
Right.
But I will speak to an easy transaction. An easy transaction. There's been many, by the way. Looks and sounds like this: the buyer and the borrower, same person, same persona. No drama, no complexity. Let me explain. No complexity means the buyer of record, the person borrowing money at the same time, was at his, her, or their job for like a consistent 3 years or more. Their income was W-2 income. So easy peasy verification of stuff. All right. Third, Warren, they had no debt.
Wow.
Zero.
That's amazing.
Zero debt. No student loans, no lease payments, car lease payments, no car loan payments. Here's the mic drop. No maintenance income alimony payment. See, that's a tricky one.
Wow.
Right. And so at the end of the day, every lender, I'm going to say this, every lender is probably tripping over their feet saying, hey, I'll lend you money. So in that respect, that's why that transaction was so easy. And you might be thinking, audience members, that this buyer that I'm describing as the easy transaction, you might be thinking, oh, he, she, they must have been ponying up a very large, healthy size down payment. The answer is no. They were dropping a skinny down payment. And here's the twist. At the end of the day, what makes an easy transaction for financing is when the income is transparent, easy to pick apart, when there's no other debt. And notice I didn't even drop any hints of like, he, she, or they were rockstar credit. Why? Because it doesn't matter. Income and no debt trumps everything else. Right? All right. So let me now move to the other pillar, to the other extreme. What was a hard transaction? The hard transaction was this. It was that of working with borrowers who were not digitally savvy. They had nothing, Warren. They had nothing that they could share and drop with me as far as information we needed to look at electronically. It was old school. Everything was paper.
Wow.
Everything was paper. Even their bank statements, they didn't do any online banking. Can you imagine that? It's like, what rock did you live under?
Well, I mean, the older generation, not a lot are very tech savvy, so
Sure.
I don't
Sure,
blame
sure.
them.
True. But my point is that makes the transaction hard because we can't
Right.
go as fast as we need to. So these are a couple of things that can make a transaction hard. But can I share with you, not the same client, right? Can I share with you what also makes a transaction hard? This one I've lived through more times than I can count on two hands, and that is a buyer borrower at the 11th hour. At the 11th hour, going out and buying furniture, charging out on a credit card, or buyer borrower changing jobs but not telling me about it.
Wow. Fun.
Exactly. So my point is, it makes the transaction hard. Why? Because it literally slows us down as we are doing some final verifications of things. And by the way, every lender does it. So for all of you watching this episode, listening to this as a recording, these are some of the things that every lender, myself included, should be telling you up front. Try to minimize this drama, minimize the complexity, because it's all about helping you go through the process as quickly as we can move you. But when you start to throw all of this drama around, complexity around, it just slows us down.
Right.
Right? Do you agree?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, I agree.
Yep. So if I may, let's now move the conversation to what I think another part of our business can make a transaction harder. And that is, let me bring it up on the screen. When a property like the one that you're selling, right? You're selling this condo. I see it as an active listing. When you're selling a condo where there may be some issues with it. So let me share with all of you watching us, listening to us today, what could make buying a condo hard? It is when your condominium association is either involved in a lawsuit, either suing someone or an entity, or being sued. It will make it harder to secure financing. Now, this is all, pending if you're going down the road of sourcing financing, getting a loan to complete your purchase. If you're buying it with cash, what did we just talk about? Cash is king, cash moves fast, right?
Yes. Cash close anything.
Exactly. And you can close quickly. But whenever you're selling a condominium property where there's that extra layer, the HOA, the Homeowners Association, this is when and where, if you're leaning on your real estate team, Warren and myself, what we try to do up front is make sure that you can go through the qualification process, not just of yourself, your financials for the loan, but the subject property, the HOA, also meets the requirements for either traditional financing, low down payment, or if you have to go down the road of non-traditional financing because the condo doesn't meet some of the litmus test parameters of like traditional financing. Agree?
Agree.
Yeah. What would you like to add to what I'm talking about that would make your life easier when you're helping a seller or a buyer with a condominium property? What are some of your lessons learned?
Well, I would definitely reach out to lenders like you, Bill, and ask what kind of qualification would help make this deal go through, or like what type of lenders or like products that you might have, and then market it that way.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, the more information you can gather up front, the more stones that you can turn over so that you, as the real estate broker of record, will not get surprised, the better. The one thing I would also coach and share with all of you, real estate brokers who are representing sellers of condominiums, ask your seller for the condo docs. Don't wait to get that until later. Ask for it up front. They own the condo. They get those condo bylaws and declarations. Ask for a copy of them. And it wouldn't hurt you just to have it in your hip pocket, because if a buyer is interested in writing an offer, you know, you can shorten the time frame to share some of that information with them so that they kind of know what they're getting into. You agree?
I agree, because once they find out during the loan and then they don't get approved because of like certain issues that arrive with like the association, then it's wasting everyone's time. And then you will also look at that in front of your seller.
Bingo, bingo. And by the way, even for those of you who have cash, you can exercise a cash purchase. You can buy with cash. You can move fast. You know, more power to you. My personal opinion is, if you're going to buy a condominium unit, I think you still should ask to look at those condo HOA bylaws, decks, and even the financials. That way you just know what you're getting into. You're not going to be surprised.
Right.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah. So all of that being said, we just have a audience member who is watching and listening to this live stream. Thank you, Omar. Right on, brother. Yes, the good old days, right? Selling, buying condominiums. You're speaking from experience. So as we wrap up today's episode of Real Living in Bridgeport, for those of you who may need our help, because real estate is a team sport, you may need to engage the services of Warren to help you sell a condominium or single family home, or on the buy side. And along the way, if you are not using cash to complete your purchase of real estate, all you need to do, real simple, is scan the QR codes that you see here. Both Warren and I will gladly start a conversation with you to determine how best to help you, service you, so that your transaction is not the hard one. We want it to be the easy one, right? Warren?
Smooth sailing and less stressful.
Less stress is good. Less stress is always good. And so that we can help you move to your next chapter, wherever you need to be, as quickly as possible. So, Warren, as we wrap up today's episode of Real Living in Bridgeport, have a good Friday, even though the weather kind of sucks for both of us today. But hey, you know, we need the rain, because come spring, we get to enjoy the beautiful scenery, green grass, a lot of flowers, and so forth.
Right.
Yeah.
You have a nice weekend.
Exactly. And also, don't forget, you know, spring forward, change your clocks this weekend.
Oh, correct. Yes.
All right. So by all means, do that. Otherwise, both you and I will be early for late for our appointments, right?
No, I think early, because we're moving an hour forward.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It always messes me up. I wish they stopped doing this time change thing. All right, audience members, until we see you in the next episode of Real Living in Bridgeport, have a good day.